Hey, what's up guys, it's Mo the Man here. In this video, we are going to talk about how to invest in stocks and shares as a beginner. We will go through it step by step and I'll show you just how easy and fast it is to get involved, especially for people who just don't have the time. Maybe they've got a full-time job or a family and they want to take advantage of the stock market but just don't know how to do so. In my experience, there are two types of people when it comes to investing in the stock market. One, just as I mentioned, someone who probably just doesn't have the time, who's got a full-time job or a business, but actually wants to get involved in the stock market, but doesn't have the expertise or the know-how. Or two, someone who has the time, the expertise and the money to do their own research and make investment decisions that way. If you're person number one, just like me, and probably the majority of the people out there, then this video is perfect for you. If you're person number two, then maybe this video is a bit basic for you, but it doesn't hurt to watch anyway. Now, it is very, very important that you understand which person you are, because it can make the difference between actually making money safely or losing your money. Many people fall victim to this and get it all mixed up. They think they can invest in the stock market like the pros and then find out later on they don't know what they're really talking about and really pay the price. Think about it guys, there's a reason why investment bankers, traders and bankers in general are paid ridiculous amount of money to do their jobs, and that's because the stock market is a tough business. So if you're like me, who has a full-time job, who's got a family, who's got a YouTube channel that keeps him busy, then you probably don't have the time or most importantly the expertise to invest like the pros. So this video isn't about how to get rich quick or about how to make a killing on a certain stock. It's all about investing your hard-earned cash smartly, building long-term wealth and eventually living off this money in the future. And that is the real goal here. Imagine in 5 or 10 or 15 years down the line, you are able to live off the money you invested. Imagine never having to work again, going on holidays wherever you want, spending your midday on the beach, on your laptop, checking on your investments. That's the real dream here. That's the real goal. So if you like the sound of this video, then as always, smash the like button. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. There are loads of videos out there like this. It will be very much appreciated. Okay guys, real quick, just to give you a bit of confidence in the content of this video, I just want to say that most of my investment advice comes from the extremely valuable network that I have. I have family members in the investment banking industry, working for hedge funds and some of the world leading banks. Not to mention that I've been in the finance industry for almost 10 years now as a programmer coder, so maybe not that relevant, but you do pick up a few things along the way. Anyway, let's get to it. As a total beginner, the best way to get started on the stock market is through an investment, stocks and shares ISA. So you've probably heard the term cash ISA with your bank before, and all it stands for is individual savings account. So for example, if you put £20,000 into this cash ISA, this cash savings account, then if you were to make say 1.5% interest on that £20,000, which equates to around £300, then you get to keep the whole amount. You pay zero tax on that £300 profit. But that's absolutely rubbish, right? £300 per year over 10 years only equates to £3,000. You can't exactly live off that. So this is where the investment stocks and shares ISA comes into play. The rules are the same here, but instead of putting your money into a savings account, you put it into stocks and shares. So here are some of the pros and cons of investing this way. The amount of profit you make that tax year is absolutely limitless and it's all tax-free. Some people are cautious when it comes to dealing with banks and interest, so this investment is into companies, and if the company is performing well and profits, then you profit. So there's no interest involved here. So it's totally halal. It's less risky than investing in the stock market in the normal way. I'll tell you exactly why in the video later on. Okay, so what are some of the cons of investing this way? Just like any investment, you could lose money. There is no such thing as a risk-free investment. Two, you are only limited to £20,000 on an ISA, but obviously if you want to invest more, then you can, but you just have to pay tax on any profits on that. Right guys, now that we understand what an investment stocks and shares ISA is, how do we get started? Well, there are many ways to do it. You can actually check with your existing bank whether they offer the service, and most of them do. but I don't like to use them because the commission that you have to pay for these services are extremely high with these banks. The best platform that I think on the market right now is something called Vanguard. They have some of the lowest commission charges on the market and are so easy and fast to use. In fact, they are so fast and so easy to use, you can get started and invest into a stock market within 5 minutes. Okay, right, let's get started, guys. So we're here on Google. Type in Vanguard. Okay, they got Vanguard Asset Management, personal investing in the UK. So this is the UK one, but I'm sure there's a one for US as well, because the US, it's an American-based company, so you've got one for the US and other countries too. So let's click on this one. At the top here, you got what we offer. Click that down, and here we come to our account. So Vanguard offer an ISA, so that's what we'll be doing today. We've also got a junior ISA, which is pretty cool because it's about investing for your children, and that's a really nice way of doing things for your kids. We've got a Vanguard general account, so that's if you want to invest more than the 20k, you can do so using this account. And we've got Vanguard personal pension. So let's click Vanguard ISA, okay, then open account. Right, now on the left hand side here, all you need to do for you to apply is you need your national insurance number and some debit card details. That's it. I set mine up a couple of days ago. It literally took 5 minutes, and I'll show you how. So click start my application. Okay, there's some T's and C's here for you to read. Tick the box, then click proceed. Perfect. Now, this is a section where we get to choose how we want to invest in our ISA. Right, now guys, with a Vanguard ISA, we only have the option of investing in funds which contain stocks or bonds or both. A fund is where you and I and many other investors put our money into this little pot, which is called a fund. Then this little pot is managed by someone called a fund manager, which in our case is Vanguard. And what they would do is they will go out and invest this money from this pot into companies, into bonds, into different industries, and try to diversify the investment as much as possible. So remember earlier on in the video when I said that investing in the ISA way is a lot less riskier? This is why we are relying on a fund manager who has the proper expertise and the know-how to go out and really make us a return on our investment. So instead of us ourselves trying to pick a company or like Google or Apple or a banking chain like Barclays to go and invest in and make money, the fund, it invests in many different companies, different sectors by people who know what they're doing. Okay, let's see what funds Vanguard offers. Okay, there are 3 categories. 1, blended funds. Now this is where you can invest in funds that deal with both stocks and bonds. Okay, so there's a mix of stocks and bonds there. And secondly, there's equity funds. This is where funds that only deal with stocks and shares only. Okay, so no bonds there. And then we've got fixed income funds. So that's where it's purely dealt with investments in bonds only. Okay, and then we've got a cash on here. This is not a fund. This is just a simple cash ISA like your bank offers, but we don't really care about that. Okay, so those are our 3 funds that we can get involved in. Now, personally, bonds are usually government issued and are very low risk, but the reward on them is also quite low. So I tend to just stick with stocks and shares here. Okay, so that's why I'm just going to go straight into the equity fund section. So let's click that. Right, now here we get loads of different options of different type Vanguard offers. So we've got obviously European stocks and shares. So we've got all these different and funds we can invest in. We've got a global one, okay, we've got a UK specific one, you probably recognize FTSE 100, FTSE 250, so you should recognize these terms. Got the Japanese stock market, got the Asia in general, and then there's the US one, okay. Also got emerging markets, but so a couple of days ago when I opened my fund, I decided to go with the US stock market because at the end of the day, I mean, you just can't beat the US market when it comes to the stocks and shares. The companies are just fantastic. They're always doing innovative stuff. The tech companies in there are so strong. The banking companies are so strong. In all areas, I feel that US are just number one in a lot of industries. I invested in something called the S&P 500, which is essentially the top 500 companies in the US. That's it. That's all it is. So what you want to do before we look into invest is let's click on the key investor information right here. Click here. And Vanguard offers some basic information which I think everyone should look at before they make any type of investment. So here I'll just read quickly what the fund is about. So the fund employs a passive management or index and investment approach through a physical acquisition of securities and seeks to track the performance of the Standard & Poor's 500 index. So basically it tracks the top 500 US stocks and shares. Okay, so that's something. Also look at the risk and reward profile. So here, high risk, 6 and 7 being extremely high risk, and 1 being very low risk, but obviously the rewards are lower. So here, this fund is typically at 5, which is a good point. So you don't want to be too risky or too low risk because you want to make a decent return. So that looks good to me. Have a look at it. And also look at the charges, which is important. Okay, so this fund ongoing charges, this is the number you want to look at, is 0.07%, which is extremely low. I mean, it's very low compared to what other funds offer for the same service. So this is good in my opinion. And then the last bit you want to look at, which is really good, is past performance. So this fund looks like it kicked off in 2013. In its first year, it returned 31.9%, which is fantastic. 2014 about 13%. 2015 wasn't a great year. 2016 11.5%. 2017 21%. 2018 wasn't a great year, but wasn't a great year for any market. It was a really bad year. And then 2019 31%. So on average we're looking at around at least 15 to 20% returns every year. So it looks good to me. Okay, perfect. So another thing, okay, so we know what we're investing in, okay, but what companies, what industries is the fund actually going to go invest in? So you can find out that detail too. So a quick top tip for you here is if you copy the fund, right, just copy it, go to Google, copy and paste the fund in and add at the end of it fact sheet, right? And look for a PDF that is published by Vanguard themselves, so by the actual fund. You can find other bits of detail here, but go for the PDF that's officially published by Vanguard themselves. So here's one I found here. And this should give us all the low-level detail about what companies the money is going into, so we just know, so we have a good idea of what this fund's doing. So if you scroll down here, okay, so if you look at here, top 10 holdings, Microsoft Corp, about 5%, Apple, about 4.6%, Alphabet, who owns Google, 3.2%. You can see Amazon, Facebook, it's got like banking shares. So mostly a lot of tech shares, got banking shares, and other companies too. Then you also look down here, weighted exposure is a good thing to look at. This is what type of industries this fund's invested in. So about 25%, a quarter of the investments is involved in IT. So Facebook, Google, Apple shares. But we've also got a good chunk in healthcare, 14%. Now, being the whole crisis with coronavirus hitting the whole global market, I mean, healthcare companies are going to be extremely important in terms of fighting this crisis. So they're going to be doing pretty well through this period anyway. So it's good to hear that 14% of this fund is invested in healthcare companies. Then we've got financials, 12%, 10 communications, etc. Okay, so that's a top tip there. Check out the fact sheet before you invest. Okay, now you see, personally, I don't have the expertise to know how much to put into a tech company or an energy company or a bank company, and this is what we rely on the fund for. This is why it's really, really, pretty good in terms of the risk factor. So it's quite fairly low risk, but very good reward because the fund manager is doing all that work for you, and you're paying a very small commission, in my opinion, for it. So yeah, it's really, really good. Okay, so what to do next? So you know what fund you invest in. So let's say S&P 500. Now you can do a single payment. Now, if you look at the bottom here, our remaining ISA allowance is £20,000. So we can go ahead and invest the entire £20,000. Okay, and then that leaves us with nothing more to invest in. We can do that. One single payment, invest the whole thing, or we can invest, say, like 10K. So I only did about 10,000 because I'm not sure the market yet, which leaves me 10,000 more to play with, and you can put in regular monthly payments. Now I like this. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna put about 1,000 every month thereafter. So I put 10 grand up front and then 1,000 every month. So what that's going to allow me to do is every time I get my paycheck from my work or my business or whatever I do, instead of just investing it into a savings account, I want to chuck it into this fund. That's the smart thing to do. So I'm going to chuck about £1,000 of my money every month into this fund, and that will build up over time. It will build up, and hopefully the fund is making money at the same time. So I'm just going to be accruing and accumulating money on money as much as possible over the next 5 or 10 years, okay? And that's the key goal here. That's what I want to do. So yeah, so once you've done that, you can click next. Right, and this is where you just fill out personal information, so Mr. whatever. You go through all that, your UK address, where you're born, etc. Click next. I'm not going to go through it because I've already done it, but click next. You put in your bank details at this point, and you're done. You get an email verification notification saying that you've been signed up and that you've invested in this fund, etc. And then that's it. So let me just show you what it looks like when you log in. So if I was to go. Let's just go back to Vanguard, the home page, real quickly. And I'll log into my own account and I'll show you exactly what it looks like after you've invested. So I'll type in here and just log in. Right. So you come to the overview page. So I've guys told you I've invested in £10,000, and every month I'm going to invest about £1,000 on a specific date. So everything straight off the bat, my ICE value has already gone up £102.07. Already gone up by £102.07. So my personal rate of return is already 1.67% since I opened an account, which was only a few days ago. So you can see the market's already bounced slightly. There's a long way to go before it really does truly recover, but I've already seen a reward of a small bounce in the market. So I'm quite happy so far that I've made £100, on my investment only a couple of days ago. That's more than I would have ever made if I just left it in a savings account. Okay, so there's other things you can hear. Your investments you can check. Okay, etc. Right, so that's that. So another thing I just want to show you guys is pretty cool is, once you've invested, you can set up other funds, or you can invest in other funds. Other things I like to look at is, let's say, right. Okay, so let's look at this right here. So before I just showed you equity funds, so that's purely stocks and shares. But if you go to blended funds, this is pretty cool. So here you have life strategy funds, long-term funds which you can think of. So I think it's quite cool to have a target retirement fund. So if you're thinking about retiring in the next 5, 10 or 15 years, this is a pretty cool way to put your money somewhere. So I'm going to do something very similar. I'm going to choose like a target retirement fund of 2030. Okay, and I'm just going to chuck in like another £500 to £1,000 every month into this fund for the next 10 years, and hopefully it builds up. Let's have a quick look at what it's about. So it's not very risky at all. So it's a good way to just kind of save your money. It's quite in the midpoint of the risk reward factor. The ongoing charge is quite steep. It's about 0.24%. It's not crazy high, but I mean it's a lot less than the banks offer you. Past performance 99.4%. It's a pretty decent performance, but this is a safe bet because this fund looks to kind of keep your money as protected as much as possible. So it's a good way to kind of save and save long term and use the money when you retire, essentially. So that's another option. And that's it, guys. That's how fast and easy it is to get involved in the stock market in a safe way. All terms and definitions used in the video today are in the description below, so check it out so you can understand exactly what I'm talking about at all points of the video. And remember, guys, there's no such thing as a risk-free investment. Please do your research, do your own research before you put your hard-earned money into a stock market in any way. Hope you found this video useful, guys. As always, see you guys next time.